How you doing? This is Jim Fisher signing on for the Third Way. Not left, not right. America's Third Way, libertarianism. And today I'm going to talk about anarchy. Kind of a cool subject, anarchy. But I think I'm going to talk about it probably in a little bit different way than what you're thinking of. When most people think of anarchy, they think of people falling out of buildings and bottles being thrown all over the place and people running naked on fire through the streets, and there you have it, anarchy. What I actually want to talk about is a subject called Anarco-Capitalism, or Anarco-Capitalists. I think I am becoming an anarcho-capitalist. I am very open to the idea. It is really a very pure form of libertarianism. And what it is the belief that capitalism and free markets can really take over all the functions that our government takes over today. And you may think, well, that's just nuts, Jim. I mean, we wouldn't have any roads. We'd drive our car to the end of the driveway and poof, the road would just not be there. If you're from Massachusetts like I am, I'm actually from Plymouth, Massachusetts. All the roads in Plymouth, Massachusetts were somehow built before there was any state government, before there was any federal government, before there was any real government at all. They were all built by private people. I mean, how did that happen? How did they get roads all over Plymouth, roads that are still there today, without any government? I mean, it's just amazing. It's a fallacy that without government there wouldn't be any roads, there wouldn't be any police, there wouldn't be any fire. I want you to picture how an anarcho-capitalist society would work for a function, say, something like the police department. The way it would work is you would be divided up into some type of communities of ownership. You would get together and you would hire a independent contractor as your local police force. And anybody that has ownership has a reason to protect their belongings. And so you would get together, hire a contracted police force. And the reason why a government-run police force can never be as efficient as a privately owned police force is, as Mises says, they don't have a correct measurement of success. Meaning, how does a local police force measure its success? You could say through murder rates, through the crime rates. But if you think about it, if a local police department wanted to get the murder rate to zero, they could just impose tyranny on the town and shut everybody down. And sure, they'd have zero murder rates. And then they could run for, the local sheriff could run for re-election and say, look, the murder rate's zero. But do you really want to live in tyranny to have a zero murder rate or zero crime rate? Of course not. A contracted or a business that performed that duty, they would have a measurement of success, and that would be every year you're going to vote on their contract in your local organization and decide if they're going to get to still make a profit by providing services for you for the next year. And so they would have to figure out how to provide the right balance of being able to prevent crime without imposing tyranny on the people. They would have to be inventive because they have a measurement of success, and that is their money, their profit. And without giving you success, you would have the ability to get rid of them and hire another contractor to bring in to provide security for you. And so they would have the motivation to provide you the exact type of security you want. Not what your local police department does, where they pull you over for 3 miles an hour over the speed limit, or you would be able to decide on what type of security you're looking for. You don't want cops sitting around your house with a radar gun and pulling people over for doing 2 miles an hour over the speed limit so they can generate income for the town. That's not what you're looking for. And if the company does that, you're going to shit can them. And next, when that contract runs out, you're going to find another contractor. See, the big difference is two big differences. One, government doesn't have a measurement of success, and two, they have a monopoly. So they don't have to worry about success. They don't have to actually be successful and fulfill your needs. They're staying, they're going to have their jobs, period. Whether they're fulfilling your demands or not. And in an anarcho-capitalist society, you get to decide what that function of government, what that function of the police department should be. And if they don't fulfill it, you can get rid of them. You can provide this logic to every aspect, every government role that's provided. So that's kind of, use your imagination on the subject of an anarcho-capitalism. It's not anarchy like you think it is. It's actually, in anarchy, or the absence of government, there would actually be higher order, and it would really be the ultimate form of democracy, in that you get to vote on all aspects of your life. How your police is provided for you, how your fire department's provided, how all products, everything in every aspect that government fills now would become a product to you, and you would vote with your purchase on everything, on how well the roads are built for you, on how well anything, any aspect that government's providing for you now, how well your water's provided to you, how well your electricity's provided for you. All those things would not be a monopoly run by the government. They would be private institutions worrying about their profit and worrying about if you're going to pay for their services for another go round. The Wild West is kind of a good example of anarcho-capitalism. There's a book called The Not So Wild West. When we think of the Wild West, we think of guns blazing and saloon fights and bank robberies. And the fact is, throughout that period of the Wild West, there was only 12 total bank robberies. This is a good book. You should read it. What people did, because there was no form of government in the Wild West. And it was really a highly socialized order, in that the people, through capitalist means, provided all aspects of what the government fills now. If they had a dispute, they didn't have a court to go to. So if somebody thought somebody else, stole their cow or was infringing on their property rights, the two parties would agree on a third arbitrating party, who would actually pick another party independent of everybody, and then they would agree on whatever that person decides. They may pay a small fee to hire his services, and the two parties would agree on it. And that's how they solved disputes in the Wild West. This was a widely used function of anarcho-capitalism. So yes, we can provide through anarcho-capitalism all the services that the government would provide. Read up on the subject. It can open your mind if you can just let go of the we have to have government for everything in our lives aspect. You can really open up to a true form of libertarianism. Government has all they have in their possession is a monopoly on force by gunpoint. The threat of violence and jail, that's ultimately all they have. And you may think, well, no, if you run a red light, it's just a fine. That's not how they do everything. Suppose you wanted to take a stand. You run a red light, you don't think you ran it, the cop says you did, and you're not paying that fine, no matter what. And you're going to take it to court, and you lose. If you take a stand on that, what ultimately is going to happen to you? If you say, I'm not paying that fine, I didn't run the red light, what really is the ultimate thing the government's going to end up doing to you if you absolutely take a stand on it? Think about it. All right, it's Jim Fisher signing off for the Third Way, not left, not right, America's Third Way, libertarianism.